At the reunion, my brother raised his glass and aimed his voice straight at the guy who always rolls in late, brings nothing, and still expects a seat at the table. The group burst out laughing, too loud to be casual. I lifted my own glass, cheap plastic, half filled with off-brand soda, and replied, "To the guy who just finished paying off the mortgage you thought was yours." The silence that followed could have shattered glass. My brother's smirk froze halfway up his cheek. Mom blinked like she'd misheard me. Dad paused, his fork still hovering in the air. The only thing making noise was the wind brushing against the tent flaps and the faint buzz of someone's forgotten Bluetooth speaker. I took a slow sip, gave a little nod, and added, "You're welcome." Right then, I knew I should have skipped this whole reunion. The table was packed, but not a single pair of eyes met mine. My sister went back to poking at the potato salad like it held top-secret intel. My uncle coughed into his fist and muttered something about football. The same folks who had texted me just days ago, asking for help, just this once, suddenly couldn't look my way. Figures. That morning, I'd stopped at a gas station to grab a bag of chips and a six-pack. Nothing fancy, just enough to show I hadn't come empty-handed. I wasn't there to impress anyone. When I pulled up, I spotted my brother unloading trays of catered food from the back of his leased SUV. His wife was already setting things up like it was her personal cooking show. Linen napkins. Folded name cards. A balloon arch. I set my plastic bag beside a mountain of finger foods. The contrast was laughable. But that's always been the part one played. The quiet guy, the one who runs late, the one they brush off with, "Oh, he's just like that." I'm the guy who covers the cost and still gets laughed at. The punchline who shows up anyway. Not anymore. They thought it was funny. But I'd been footing the bill for years. My brother, the same one cracking jokes, lives in a house I helped him get. Not on paper. No contracts. Just a bunch of "I'll pay you back, bro" texts that eventually faded into nothing. At some point they stopped pretending, and honestly so did I. I co-signed that mortgage when his credit was wrecked beyond approval. That was 4 years back. Since then, I've made 41 payments. He made 3. The first 3. As for my parents, they told everyone they retired early. Truth is, they meant we'll retire and you'll cover the bills. I paid the electric, gas, groceries, while they bragged about living off smart investments and grace. My mom called it family support. I call it subsidized disrespect. Even my youngest sister, the one always posting quotes about building your empire, lives rent-free in a condo I bought during the pandemic. She calls it manifesting stability. I call it freeloading with Wi-Fi. No one's ever said thank you. What they do say is stuff like, "You're just good with money. You don't have kids, so it makes sense. You're single. You wouldn't get it." They twisted generosity into some kind of defect I needed to correct, like I owed them for existing while unmarried. At first, I went along with it. Arguing felt pointless. So every month, I sent the money. Every holiday, I showed up with bags of food no one touched. Every group chat, I watched my messages get ignored, until rent was due. But deep down, part of me hoped that if I gave enough, helped enough, they'd finally start to see me. They didn't. Instead, they sharpened the jokes. I became the guy who worked too hard, who was too serious, who couldn't take a joke. All while they were cashing my Venmos. One time, my brother even called me the bank with no customer service. I laughed back then. Not anymore. Because here's what they didn't realize. I wasn't quiet because I didn't notice. I was quiet because I was keeping count. Every jab. Every rolled eye. Every time they made me feel small for showing up tired, for dressing wrong, for not having a wife and kids. I clocked it all. And the kicker? They thought they were better than me, because they needed me. That's the kind of delusion dependency creates. The more I gave, the less they saw me. They built an entire ecosystem around my silence. My parents didn't downsize because I was their backup plan. My brother never budgeted because he knew I'd cover the gaps. My sister kept spending because she assumed I'd sweep in before the credit card company called. It was a game of chicken I never agreed to play. I remember once calling my dad to say I'd be late with that month's payment. Just 1 week. I had a surprise medical bill. Nothing serious, just a checkup that ran a little higher than I expected. He sighed and said, "Well, I guess we'll have to figure something out. Like my health was some sort of inconvenience. That's when it really sank in. I wasn't their son anymore. I was a walking ATM with a Wi-Fi connection. A ghost who covered the rent. And once you see it that way, you can't unsee it. You want the cruelest part? They made me believe I was lucky. At least you're in a position to help, my mom once told me. You'd think they'd remember all the weekends I gave up, 5 straight years of skipped dinners, missed vacations, canceled dates, just so I could float someone a loan they never paid back. They relied on me, but respect? That was never part of the deal. And honestly, I made it possible. Not out of generosity, but out of fear. Fear that if I stopped giving, they'd walk away completely. That they'd disappear for good. But one day, I looked around and realized something I should have seen earlier. They were never really with me. They just hovered around whatever I could give. That's when the guilt started to rot inside me. And pretty soon, that rot turned into something darker, anger. Not the loud kind. I didn't scream. I didn't slam doors. I just stopped answering those casual, hey, quick thing, texts. Let the Venmo requests expire without comment. I quit being their reminder for due dates. And I watched what happened next. My brother started calling me cold-hearted. My sister said I was going through some kind of phase. She chalked it up to mood swings. But none of them asked if I was okay. All they wanted to know was why the money stopped. It was almost poetic. The moment I pulled the plug, I was suddenly the bad guy. But here's the twist they didn't expect. I was finished apologizing for their dependence. I didn't owe them my burnout. I didn't owe them my credit score. And I sure as hell didn't owe them my silence. So when we were at that reunion, and my brother tried to take a shot at me with his little toast, I didn't shrink. I stood tall. To the guy who just paid off the mortgage you thought was yours, I said. And the look on his face, that flicker of panic while he did the math, was more satisfying than any applause. For once, they didn't have a comeback. For once, I flipped the script. 3 days after that picnic, my brother finally texted me. Hey bro, can you send the usual for the house? We're cutting it close this month. No hello. No comment about what I'd said. Nothing about the moment I set fire to their make-believe and walked away. I stared at the message, then locked my phone without replying. Didn't respond that day. Or the next. It was strange at first, the quiet. But not uncomfortable. Not guilty. Not anxious. Just quiet. That weekend I did normal things. I walked. I cooked. I read a little. It felt like I was living in someone else's skin. Someone who wasn't chained to other people's emergencies. Then Monday rolled around. Another ping. Just checking again. Need to make the payment by Wednesday. Still no mention of the reunion. Still pretending like everything was business as usual. So I responded. Just one word, no. That typing bubble popped up instantly. What do you mean no? Then, wait, are you serious? And finally, you can't just stop. That's not fair. I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I left it hanging. Later that night, my sister called. I let it ring out. She left a voicemail, something about bills piling up and how Ethan's trying and she's under so much stress. I listened to the whole thing. Then deleted it. The next morning, my mom texted. Can we talk? I'm worried. This isn't like you. That part made me laugh. Because honestly, this was exactly like me. The real me. The one they'd ignored for years. So I texted back, I'm done funding people who treat me like a joke. 10 seconds later, my phone rang. Excuse me, she said, like she couldn't believe what she'd just read. You heard me, I said. Flat. Measured. I'm done. There was a pause. Then she tried to pivot, like always. We're family. Families help each other. That's how we've always done things. No, I said. That's how I've always done things. Everyone else just took. That didn't sit well. Her tone shifted. She called me ungrateful. Said I was punishing everyone. That I was being dramatic. Actually, I told her, I've never been this clear. And I hung up. 20 minutes later, my dad called. I almost let it go to voicemail, but I picked up, because I already knew what he'd say. So you're really cutting everyone off? He asked, like I was pulling some prank. Yes. He gave that exhausted sigh, the one he uses when the car won't start or someone lost the remote. You can't just leave us like this. I didn't leave, I said. I stayed too long. You just stopped noticing. What about the mortgage? He asked. It's due in 5 days. I'm not paying it. Silence. Then he gave this awkward, forced laugh. You're bluffing. I'm not. You always say stuff like this. No, I told him. This is new. And then I said the one thing that snapped the whole illusion in half. You made fun of me. And I paid your mortgage. That ends now. More silence. I swear, I could hear the floor creak under the weight of his entitlement. Then he hung up. That was it. The real break. The illusion shattered. The ATM stopped spitting bills. The go-to-donor stepped off the stage. In the days that followed, the family group chat went dead. The same group that used to light up with last-minute rides, loan requests, and guilt-flavored emojis was suddenly silent. They didn't know what to do without me. Then came the guilt trip. My sister texted, I'm literally crying right now. I can't believe you're doing this to your own family. My mom followed up with a voice note. I never opened the voice note. Didn't need to. My brother, the same guy who toasted to my so-called failures, sent me a one-word text. Seriously. I didn't answer. Then they kicked it up a notch. I might have to break my lease, my sister wrote. We'll have to move back in with mom and dad. Is that what you want? I replied with one word, exactly. She never responded after that. The next day, my dad called again. His voice had changed, less angry, more desperate. What happened to you? He asked. You used to be reliable. No, I told him. I used to be scared. That shut him up. Scared of what? He finally asked. Of losing you, I said. But I can't lose people who only show up when they want something. He hung up without another word. A week later, my sister posted a photo on Instagram. The caption read, Back where it all began. It was a shot of her old childhood bedroom. Same posters, same faded bedspread, same forced smile. No sign of Ethan in the picture. I didn't comment. Then mom called, this time, no filters, no soft tone. I hope you're happy, she said. She's miserable. We're all miserable. I'm at peace, I replied. Another hang-up. That month I paid one bill. And for the first time in years, I went to sleep without refreshing my bank app. But the moment that really changed everything came 2 weeks later. My dad called one last time. I answered. We're not going to make the payment, he said quietly. I figured. There's a letter. From the bank. I know. So that's it, he asked. You're just gonna sit back and watch us lose everything? No, I said. I already watched you lose me. This is just paperwork. He didn't yell. Didn't cry. Just breathed heavily into the phone, like the weight of it all finally hit him. He sounded like he was aging in real time. You really mean it, he whispered. I do. I hung up. He didn't call back. And that was it, the line I'd drawn for myself for years. I finally crossed it. The line between being helpful and being used. I didn't torch the bridge. I just stopped being the one holding it up. For almost a month, nothing. Not a single word. No texts. No phone calls. No guilt-tripping emails decorated with emojis. It was like the entire family went underground, scrambling to figure out how to live without the walking ATM. Then my mom called. Dinner, she said. Just dinner. No expectations. I agreed. Not because I believed her, I didn't, but because I wanted to see it with my own eyes. I wanted to look them in the face and see how deep the damage went. They tried hard to make things look normal. The table was clean, the pasta reheated, and a dusty bottle of wine sat in the middle like a centerpiece. Dad looked exhausted and didn't bother to hide it. Mom had on makeup but didn't blend it right. My sister didn't even come downstairs. We, quietly, like strangers pretending to be a family. Then Mom leaned in. Her voice was soft, cautious. We're in a rough patch, she said. Just for a little while. If you could help again. I cut her off. No. Her face didn't twitch, but her eyes changed, sharp, guarded, calculating. It's not about the money, she said. It's always been about the money, I replied. You just hated that I pointed it out. Dad jumped in, tried to steer the conversation somewhere new. We're trying, okay? But we're not young anymore. Starting over isn't easy. Then downsize, I said. Move. Get a roommate. Sell the house. Do what people do when they don't have a safety net. He winced like I'd slapped him. We built this life, he said. No, I corrected him. You borrowed it. I'm the one who built it. The room went quiet again. Then I told them something that changed the temperature of the whole evening. I'm hosting a picnic. A month from now. Just us. No neighbors. No extended family. No plus ones. I paused, then added, I'll bring something to the table. But it won't be money. They didn't ask questions. They knew me well enough to know I was serious. And maybe that scared them a little. The next day, I started making calls. Not to banks. Not to accountants. To hiring managers. I reached out to my old college roommate, who now ran logistics for a warehouse chain. Need someone dependable? I asked. Always, he said. I called an old friend from a community clinic. Still looking for admin help? Desperately, she said. I spoke with a woman I met through a charity auction. She coordinated events for a food bank. She needed reliable prep staff. I've got someone in mind, I told her. Within 2 weeks, I had a stack of job offers. Real work. Nothing glamorous, nothing social media worthy. But solid. Honest. Reliable. I printed each one. One for every family member. The day of the picnic came quicker than expected. I brought a folding table, some simple sandwiches, a water cooler, and a neat pile of envelopes. My parents showed up looking like they were bracing for impact. Dad had on a wrinkled collared shirt. Mom wore fake pearls and even faker composure. My sister arrived in oversized sunglasses and didn't say a word. And of course, no one brought food. We sat down. They waited for me to say I was sorry, or maybe to offer some warm, nostalgic olive branch. I didn't. Instead, I passed out the envelopes. My sister opened hers first, flipping through it like it was a joke. What's this? She asked. Options, I said. Jobs. Not cash. She stared at me. You're serious? Very. You expect me to work at a clinic answering phones? Yes. She let out a short laugh. You're punishing me. No, I said, calm as ever. I'm helping you. Just not in a way that drains me. My mom opened hers next. She looked at the listing, then at me. This is food prep. You used to volunteer doing exactly that, I reminded her. You were great at it. She didn't respond. Dad looked over his warehouse inventory. Decent hours, fair pay, physically demanding. He let out a slow breath through his nose. You're actually serious. Completely. Then everything blew up. This is humiliating, my sister snapped. You think you can fix us with job ads? She asked, clearly frustrated. No, I told her. I think you can fix yourselves with those job ads. Or don't. But don't ask me to sink just so you can stay afloat. Mom tried a softer tone. We're not built for this kind of work anymore, she said. Then live within your means, I shot back. Or find someone else to carry you. Oh wait, I added, there is no one else, is there? Dad stood up, like he was about to say something meaningful. Then just sat back down without a word. They packed up. My sister left her folder on the table. Mom dropped hers in the trash. Dad shoved his in his jacket pocket. No hugs. No goodbyes. And honestly, that was the best part. No more pretending. I sat there alone for a while. Just me, some untouched sandwiches, and 3 empty chairs left that way by choice. But for the first time in a long time, I felt full. I wasn't the one being discarded anymore. I was the one making the choices. And I chose self-respect. They wanted help? I gave it. But sometimes help isn't a handout. Sometimes it's a mirror. 3 days later, the clinic called. Just wanted to thank you for referring Madison, a woman said. She interviewed Monday. Started today. So far, so good. I stared at my phone. Madison. My sister. She took the job. No drama, no big announcements. No Instagram posts about new chapters or healing energy. Just work. That's when it hit me. She didn't do it for me. She did it because she had no other choice. And that made it real. I didn't reach out to congratulate her. I just waited. A few days later, her text came through. Started work. It's fine. Don't get used to me thanking you. Then, but also, I'm not quitting. So there. No hearts. No emojis. Just facts. Blunt. Honest. Perfect. Then came the next move. Dad called. Asked if the warehouse job was still open. Said he'd been thinking. His voice had none of the usual performance, just tiredness. I gave him the number again. No thanks. 2 weeks later, my cousin texted me. Uncle Joe's working now? He actually clocked in at 7 a.m. today. What did you do? Nothing, I said. I just stopped saving him. He saved himself. Even Mom, who once said her hands were too old for kitchen work, quietly took the food prep position. She clocked her hours under a different last name. Not to hide from strangers. To hide from shame. She didn't tell anyone. But I knew. One day, she sent me a flyer for a Sunday food drive. No message. No request. Just the flyer. Like she wanted me to see something without really showing it. And that silence? It was louder than any apology. The group chat stayed dead. No jokes. No memes. No chain messages about family is everything. Because now they were busy. Busy working. Busy adjusting. Busy surviving without the person they swore they couldn't let go. They'd finally been forced to stand. And even though they stumbled, they stood. For the first time in my life, I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was just still. I came home from work. Made myself dinner. Watched documentaries I'd been putting off for years. I slept through the night without dreaming about missed payments or heavy sighs. Slowly, signs started to appear. My sister posted a photo of her clinic ID badge. No caption. Just the picture. A public restroom mirror. Fluorescent lights. Her hand holding it up like proof. Dad sent a single line. Got forklift certified today. My back's not thrilled, but it's honest work. Mom emailed me. Not texted. 2 sentences. No subject line. I didn't realize how much we relied on you until we had to rely on ourselves. We're trying. No drama. No emotional blackmail. Just truth. And that's when I knew. The change wasn't just in them. It was in me. I didn't need their validation anymore. I didn't need them to be proud. Or to say sorry. Or to pretend to change. Because this time, they did change. Not for me. For themselves. And me? For the first time, I didn't feel like someone's charity case. I felt like myself. A month later, I sent one message to the family group chat. Hosting another picnic. Same spot. Saturday at noon. Come if you want. No frills. No emojis. No bait. No replies. But they came. My sister arrived first. Still in scrubs. Hair pulled back. Shoes scuffed from the clinic floor. She looked tired. Not exhausted. Tired in that earned, grown-up way. Like finally carrying her own weight. Then Dad showed up. Plain polo. Sunburned forearms. He looked smaller than I remembered. Or maybe I'd finally stopped shrinking myself to fit around him. Last came Mom. No jewelry. No flashy jacket. Just a windbreaker. Old sneakers. And quiet. We sat at the same table as last time. No arch. No decorations. No photos. No tension. I didn't wait for anyone to start. I didn't smile. Didn't joke. I laid it out. I'm not paying your bills again. No one flinched. I'm not here to rescue anyone. I'm not here to bleed so no one else has to sweat. Still silence. But this time it was different. I love you. That hasn't changed. But love without boundaries isn't love. It's sacrifice. And I'm done bleeding. They didn't argue. They didn't bargain. Because now they understood. Dad nodded once. Slow and sure. Like the gears in his head finally stopped grinding against denial. Sister fiddled with a napkin edge. Said nothing. She didn't have to. Mom, who once led every room like a general with pearls and casseroles, just leaned back. "We know," she said. Not dramatic. Not defensive. Just acceptance. And right then, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel like the broken one at the table. I felt like the adult. We shared sandwiches. No one fought over the last soda. No one made jokes. We talked about everyday stuff, traffic, weather, a neighbor's annoying dog. Nothing important. But somehow, the most important conversation we'd ever had. Because it was real. At the end, they helped clean up. Dad folded the table. Mom gathered the trash. Sister tied the bag and said, "I'll take this to the bin." No ask for gas money. No offer from me. They left. I stood alone. Same as before. But this time, I wasn't abandoned. I was free. Free from money. From weight. From manipulation. Free from the version of me that believed love was something I had to earn through suffering. They changed. Not because I begged. But because I stopped saving them long enough for them to realize they had to swim. And the most powerful part? They did.